And number 22, we have really a permutation or accounting, not permutation, but accounting principle problem. And so we have 6 council members and how many different arrangements. So that's going to be 6 factorial, which you can do on your calculators. Or if you remember, that just means 6 times 4 times 5 times 3 times 2 times 1. And when you multiply all that together, you get 720. Okay, moving on to 23. The sum of 2 and 200% of 1 has the same value as which of the following calculations? So 200% of 1, that's really just going to be 2. And I'm going to add it to the 2 I already have, so I'm looking for whatever's going to give me a value of 4, which is going to be 400% of 1. Right, moving on to the next, we have a line, and we usually have it in our slope-intercept form. And looking at the tilt of this line, it has a negative slope. So notice that eliminates answer choice K. This right here is your y-intercept, so that should be this very last number, so that gets rid of G and J. And so now you've got this narrowed down to really 2 options. And so what you need to do is remember that your slope is going to be your rise over run. That is slope. So rise, we had to rise 2 and we had to run 3. So that's going to be 2/3. And we've already taken care of the negative because of the slope, how it's tilted. So that gives us answer choice H. Moving on to number 25, and 25 is kind of a strange one. Wants to know which of the following is the closest to the area in the square inches that this person, I have no idea, will cover in paper. So really I'm looking for the area going on here. Well, we are intersecting at a right angle, but we can really reason this with 2 triangles. We know the area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height. And so our base, we're told, is 28. So we have 1/2 times 28 times the height. Now, I don't really know the height here, but I can estimate it. If this entire thing is 40, it's not quite 20 and 20. I would assign this portion 30 and this portion 10. Nothing supports that other than just reasoning through the figure. So I'm going to use, this is going to be the top triangle. And so that's going to give me 140. And so I already know that portion there is 140, so I know it can't be A. And so again, we're going to go through the same calculations for the bottom triangles. And so I have 1/2 times 28. Again, that base is still 28. And the height, I'm going to guesstimate that to be about 30. And so here we can cancel. That's going to give us 14. So that's going to be roughly 420, maybe. And so the sum of these two is going to be 580. So that's pretty close to 560. So that's going to be our answer choice for 25. Alright, so for number 26, we have the picture of a pool. And we are asked, what is the area in square feet of the patio surrounding the pool? Well, what we can do is just take the entire portion, the biggest square, and find the area of that, which that's going to be 25 times 60. So that's going to end up giving us 1,500. And then I'm going to take and find the area of that pool, which is going to be 15 times 40. So that's going to give us 600. And then the difference between those two is going to give me the area of the patio, which is 900. Okay, so 27, we are wanting to put a fence around the outer edge, And so that outer edge is going to imply perimeter. So we need to count around the sides and see what we end up there. So each, or the width 25 and 25, so that's 50. And then 60 and 60 is 120. So it looks like we're going to have 170. And we were told that it's $12 per foot. And so when you multiply that out, you should get 2,040. Okay, number 28. A full lap is 2 times the length of the pool. And so the length of the pool is 40. So that's going to give me 80. Right? And so let's see, she swam 5 full laps. So that's going to be 5 times 80, which is going to give me 400. And she did that in 4.5 minutes. And if we want the average swimming speed, well, then that's going to be 400 divided by 4.5. And so what we have to do here is change that to an improper fraction. So it's going to be 400 divided by 9/2. And if we put that in our calculators, we're going to get, and I cleared out my calculator, we're going to get 88.89. So the closest to that is going to be J. Okay, moving on to 29. It's asking us a slope of, so let's go look at our slope, and it's of this long segment here. Now, we were told this portion here is 4, and so this little portion here then is going to have to be 5 if the whole length is 9. And then you were also told that the length of the pool was 40. So if this is 20 and this is 12, then this remaining part has to be 8. And remember that slope is rise over run. And so we're going to have 5 over 8. And so when we look back over here, of course, they're all negative. And then if you divide 5 over 8, you're going to get 0. Well, my pen died on us, 0.625, and so that's going to give us answer choice B. Okay, on the next problem, we are really just doing a lot of multiplication here. This company wants to build 3 type A's, 4 type B's, and 6 type C's. So when we go through our multiplication, we're going to have 3 times. Well, what does it take to make or build A's? Well, 1 tub, so 1 bathtub, that's going to be 250, plus 1 sink, which is 120. And then we're going to have plus, and then 4 B's, so 4 times everything it takes to make a model B, which is going to be 1 of the 250 plus 1 of the 150, but then plus 2 of the 120, so that's 240. And then plus 6 Model C's. Model C, it takes 2 bathtubs, so that's going to be 500. Plus, and then we're going to have 1 shower stall, so that's going to be an additional 150. Oh, my pen changed, hang on. 150, and then 4 sinks, so that's going to be 480. So when we multiply and add up all that, we get answer choice K. All right, number 31, we have a board that's 5 feet 6 inches, and we want to cut that into 2 equal parts. So what's going to be the length to the nearest inch? So I would go ahead and convert all this back over to inches. So I know that there's 12 inches in a foot, so 5 feet, it's going to be 5 times 12, plus the 6 additional inches, so that's going to be 66. I'm going to divide that into 2 parts, so that's going to give me 33 inches, and then we have to go back and see, again, there's 12 inches in a foot. So let's divide this by 12, and we see that it's going to go 2, and how many is left over? 13 minus 4, so that looks like that's going to be 9. So it looks like we're going to have 2 feet 9 inches. Okay, on this next problem, of course, it's aggravating to read, but you have a post that is driven into the ground 18 feet, and that's going to be the first. And then after that, each additional hit is going to be 2/3 the distance the post was driven in the previous hit. So you're trying to see how far in the ground the post is. So this initially is 18 plus 2/3 of 18 plus 2/3 of the 2/3 of the 18. So really I need to multiply by the 2/3. So that's going to be 4/9. And lastly, again, if I multiply that by another 2/3, that's going to be 8/27. And we can put all that in our calculator, or we can work it out by hand if we need to. I'm going to have 18, and let's see, 18 times 2/3, we can cancel, and that's going to give us 12. Here we're going to get 8 plus 18. Let's see, we can take out a 9 out of both of those. So then that's going to give me 16/3. And if we put all of that together, we're going to get 38 and 16/3. And so we need to work on that 16/3. So we're going to say 16 divided by 3. That's going to go 4 or 5 times, and we have 1 left over, so 1/3, and we're going to have that 5 that's added to that 38, so that's going to give us 43 1/3. Moving on to the next problem, we're given a point to -3, so to -3 is going to be over here in the 4th quadrant. And we need to take this point and we're going to reflect it across the y-axis. So we're going to reflect that point over here, and they're asking us, well, what would that new point be? Well, keep in mind in the 3rd quadrant, both the x and y are negative, so that's really just going to be answer choice B. In number 34, we're asked to increase the mean of 4 numbers by 3. Let's see, to increase the mean of 4 numbers by 3, by how much would the sum of the 4 numbers have to increase? So let's break this apart and talk about the mean of 4 numbers. So I'm just going to, in general, have 4 numbers. And the mean of the 4 numbers, to increase those, well, let's see. That means I want to take those 4 numbers. When I divide them by 4, I want to take this mean and increase it by 3. So by how much would the sum of these 4 numbers have to increase? Well, multiply our 4 over. And when we do that, we see that the sum of these 4 numbers is going to have to be 4 times m plus 3, and if we do our distributive property, we see very quickly that the sum would have to increase by 12. Number 35 is dealing with your exponent rules, and he wants to know, if we take all this gobbledygook and raise it to the -100, which of the following is equivalent? Well, this is going to be your exponent rule that says that if we have any value raised to a negative exponent, we're just going to say -1, then that means reciprocal. And since every bit of this is being raised to the -1, then every bit of it needs to be flipped over, or you need to find the reciprocal. So that's going to be answer choice E. Number 36, when they are asking for a vertical asymptote, first thing you need to do is factor the top and bottom, And the next thing you need to do is cancel what you can. And then the third thing is going to be you setting the denominator equal to 0. And then fourth thing, solve. So let's take our function that we're given. And I'm going to factor out a GCF of 3 in the numerator and a 2 in the denominator. And then we factored, I forgot to put my L on cancel. There's nothing we can cancel. And now I set that denominator equal to 0. Well, it makes no sense for 2 to be equal to 0. We're going to take x minus 3. Set that equal to 0 and solve, and voila, we have found our vertical asymptote. Okay, moving on to 37. We are told that we have two real numbers, and the product of these two numbers has to be 0. And then we're also told that when we divide, the quotient of these two numbers is also 0. Which of the following is true? Well, we have to be careful because we cannot divide by 0, so I know y can't be 0. So if y can't be 0, then that means x had to be the one that's 0. So that's going to tell us that we have answer choice C. Alright, so this next grouping, there's always these problems on the ACT. And notice that we have a cab ride that's 15 minutes. And we want to know what is the average speed in miles per hour. We have to really pay attention to those units because this says miles per hour and I'm talking about 15 minutes. And then notice we're talking about that distance of the car ride is 3.7 kilometers, and we have to convert there as well. So we know that the distance that was traveled, 3.7 kilometers. However, we want that to be changed over from 1 kilometer, or 1.6 kilometers is 1 mile. So we need to do that first conversion. And if we type all of that in our calculators and do our division, we're going to see that we have 2.3125 miles. Now, we need to also look at, we have 15 minutes, but I need this in terms of hours. So 15 minutes, well, that's really a fourth of an hour. So I need to take this distance in order to get the rate or the average speed in miles per hour. I need to divide this by 1/4 hours, and that's going to give us our miles per hour. And when you do that and multiply this out or put it in your calculators, you're going to see that you've got 8-point gobbledygook. So that's going to give you answer choice F. You were told also that how tall is this? Let's see, the rivets, they were 2.5 million, and now they're asking us to write that in scientific notation. So 2.5 million. Keep in mind 1 million, that is 6 zeros. So we are actually looking for either, let's see, none of those. We're looking for either D or A, and it is 2.5 million, so it's going to be answer choice A. We were also told that the Eiffel Tower, how tall was that bad boy? 320 meters tall. And so this one, we've got an angle of elevation, and I'm just going to pretend that straight line, that's going to be 320 meters tall. And let's see, so we're looking from the top of the Eiffel Tower, and I know that little thing is slanted, but oh well. And we are looking angle of elevation formed by the level ground and the line to the top. So here, so we're really looking at this part here. We've got the ground, and we're told that that angle is going to be 70 degrees. And we need to see how far this is. So I'm going to call that distance x. And anytime you see angle of elevation, you're going to be using your tangent function. And so it's going to be tangent of 70 degrees equals, and tangent is opposite over adjacent, so 320 over our missing side x. And here we need to solve for that. Notice all of the different answer choices. And so really when we rearrange this, that tangent of 70 is going to end up in the denominator. So we can multiply our x over x times tangent 70 equals 320. And then we're going to divide by tangent 70. And so here we end up with answer choice. It looks like we have answer choice K. So remembering angle of elevation, 99% of the time we'll use tangent. That's going to allow you to remove some of those answer choices.